The first example I want to review is evaluate the following expressions where x equals -2 and y equals 3. Okay, so the main thing I want you just to understand here is those are the values of the variables. So we're just going to replace our, whenever we see an x with -2 and whenever we see a y, we're going to put in a 3. Now, again, what I like to always do is put parentheses around a value that I'm inputting. Okay. And the reason why I like to do it is one, that triggers, reminds me that I replace that value, x with a -2. And then also it keeps that negative preserved, because if you didn't put the parentheses, it'd look like it would be a 3 minus 2, which would be kind of weird. So this is a -2 squared, which is a positive 4. 3 times 4 is going to be a 12. And then this is going to be -9 times 3. It's going to be a -27. 12 minus 27 is going to be a -15. Over here, where again, the first thing we're going to do is just plug in our value. So that's going to be plus a3. And then here, we're just going to have to apply a little bit of the order of operations, but that's okay. Like, that's fine. Let's go ahead and simplify inside this parenthesis here. 1 plus a -2 is going to be a -1. So I have a -2 plus a 3 times a -1. And then I'm going to multiply this here. In this case, that is, that's a -3 squared, right? Forgot to write that then. Or that's a 3 squared. So that's going to be a 9. All right, so 9 times -1 is going to be a -9. So I have a -2 minus a 9, right? Plus a -9, same thing. And therefore, that's going to give me a -11. Whew, okay, and this one we have a lot. So let's go and do it. So I have a -2 minus a 2 times a y, which is a 3, plus a 3 times a -2. Crap, I'm running out of space. Minus a 4 times a 3 plus a 5 times a, let's see, a what? -2. All right, so I kind of ran out of space. Let's go and bring this down here a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see. Okay, yeah, looks like we're a-okay there. All right, so I'm going to do a little line, even though I hate when students used to do this, but well, let's go and do that for here. So therefore, I have a -2. Let's follow the order of operations. Like, let's do the multiplication here. -2 times 3 is going to be a -6. Let's see, 3 times a -2 is also going to be -6. So plus a -6 is the same thing as like subtracting a -6. 4 times a 3 is going to be a -12. And then 5 times 2, which is going to be a 5 times 2, which is going to be a -10. Okay. Now, in this case, you might be looking like, what? How am I supposed to be able to do this? So one thing you could probably do here is, remember, like, everything's subtracting, right? So it looks really, really confusing. So one thing you'd always do is, remember, like, adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. So what I can do is I can rewrite this as -2 plus a -6 plus a -6 plus a -12 plus a -10, right? It's really the exact same thing. So all we're doing is we're adding these values, and it's just going, by adding these values now, what we're simply going to do is, like, it's just going to be a negative value, right? So we can see here -6 plus -6 is -12. -12 plus -12 is a -24. Plus 10 is going to be a -34. Plus 2 is going to be a -36. So it looks pretty confusing, but in the end, it really wasn't as bad, hopefully, that you can see.